This is the first small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in Ojai, California, 1970.
What shall we talk about?
Many of us are in an age which is already implying death and loneliness. Could we go into this problem of death and loneliness?
Loneliness.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to discuss that? What shall we talk about, apart from loneliness?
There's many people here in this valley and in this room that have been interested in whatever way you would put it for a long time, rather intensely. And fundamentally they don't seem, or we don't seem to be any different than at the beginning. Is there a common factor of self-deception that
I think that might be worth discussing, would it? What is the factor or the causes or the lack of energy that prevents a change? For the worse or for the better. Don't let's all be so solemn about all this. To put it differently, sir, is this the question you're asking? Why is it, though some of us are fairly serious and have given some time and energy and thought to this, why is it that we don't change at all, deeply? Is that it?
still fundamentally unaffectionate, still using the
Yeah.
mind in the same way, only with a different
Yes.
circumstance?
Is it old age?
No.
Why not?
I'm not old.
You may not, but generally one is getting old. So if it is not old age, then what is it?
Daily activities.
Beg pardon?
Daily activities. Routine.
Daily activities, habits, routine.
Constant conflict.
Constant conflict. Are these the reasons why we don't change?
We don't care enough to change.
Beg pardon?
We don't care enough to change, otherwise we want to make the effort.
Is it a matter of effort?
Yes, to be constantly conscious of what you're doing and how you are responding is a great effort.
Is it? Is change a matter of effort?
It comes of itself, but you have to do some work first.
Let's find out, madam. Wait a minute. Let's find out. Is effort necessary to change? And what do you mean by change? Change to what? And shouldn't we, in discussing why we don't change, shouldn't we also be clear of the verb to be, what it implies? Change implies time. I was, I am, I will be, which is the mind is conditioned by the verb to be. The whole idea of progressive evolutionary change. The verb to be has conditioned our mind tremendously. I will do that. I will achieve, I will become, I will change, I will be happy, I will achieve nirvana, moksha, whatever it is. Isn't there a great danger of that word to be? And as long as the mind is functioning within that particular pattern of conditioning, what does change mean? I was yesterday angry or jealous or brutal, and I will be different today, and I hope to get rid of it completely tomorrow. Isn't that it? That's for most of us. That's what's implied in change. I was violent and I will be less violent. I'm not intelligent, but I will be intelligent. I am not sensitive, but I will be. I don't know what it means to love, I will love. I am lonely, and eventually I hope to get rid of the beastly stuff. No? Well, that's what's implied in change. You don't think so?
Also, there's the danger of we think we're rather wonderful too. I mean,
That's lovely, of course.
and that's so
Then there is no problem involved in it.
But there's very much of a problem because that's so blinding.
If I think I'm lovely, nobody's going to convince me anything else that I'm not.
No, but I mean, one thinks one has found the thing you're talking about.
And yeah,
And one hasn't, is what I mean. The big difference between one hasn't found it and lives in this blindness.
do you think that perhaps that may be one of the problems, but what do we mean by change? I'd really like to, if you could go into that a little bit deeply. What do we mean by that word? Change of house? Change of character? Change of the quality of the mind?
Change of looking at things.
Huh?
Change of looking at things.
Change of looking at things. Are you trying to say, how to look?
And you, I put it.
All that implies time, doesn't it? I don't see very clearly, but I will see. I don't understand, I hope to understand.
No, but what I mean isn't there a danger that we think we do see, whereas we don't really see? And that's such a blinding thing that you can spend...
That's a different question, isn't it?
But what can shake you out of your blindness that you think you do see, and you're preaching that almost, if one could say? What can shake you out of that and show you that you don't really
No,
see?
I think, if I may suggest, first let's be clear that we are not slave to words. Change implies the condition of that tremendous factor of time and the verb to be. I will be. I think I see clearly, but I don't see clearly.
Doesn't all that imply a static state?
No, not static state. I think if we could stick to one thing at a time. First, let's find out what we mean by change. Change from this to that. What does that mean? To become. What does that mean? Become what?
see that the using of the mind as a, what you're saying, projection of things to be, projection of goals or whatever, and then exerting effort to that goal is the thing that's causing all the trouble. And you can see it very clearly, intellectually or some way, and yet you still use the mind in exactly the same way. Now the change would be a change from using the mind as an instrument to try and change.
You mean using thought as a means of change?
The problem seems to be the inability to see the thing, whatever it is, as it actually is, because we're always trying to change it. And we see that, and yet we still keep on doing it. I see that the problem is that I use my mind not as an instrument of observation, but as an instrument to project goals and pursue those
Right,
goals.
then, so your question is how to observe, is that it?
Or like that lady said, what is the factor that changes a clear intellectual perception, which doesn't seem to have any validity, into actual perception? How can I know something is irrational for so long and yet keep on,
Because perhaps you may not see the danger of it.
Well, what is the factor that changes my intellectual? Very clearly, intellectually, I can see, that it creates the feeling of a self when I project goals and pursue them, that I can't understand anything as it actually is as long as I'm trying to change it into something else, and so on and so on. And yet, the state in which my mind isn't projecting and pursuing goals is a state I simply can't be with, or haven't been able to be with, and it seems to be the problem with most of us. Why? Why is it that you can see intellectually the futility, the poison of something, and yet...
Now I question that, sir. When you see intellectually you see something, I wonder if you do see intellectually anything. Or you merely understand the verbal explanation.
That's what I mean.
And if it's not the intellect, just merely a very, very superficial scratching of something which you think you understand. Would you put the question differently, which is, how is it possible to see the thing totally? Not verbally, intellectually, emotionally, and all the rest of it, but completely. Would that be your question?
Yeah, as long as you're worrying about what you're doing and that doesn't work, doesn't that block something you're hanging on to? Something that you're doing in your mind.
I wonder why.
Krishnaji, how can we tell what road to take if we don't know where we're going?
There are so many questions, I don't know which one. Could we stick to one thing? You began with a word change. We have lived in this valley. I don't know why you live in this valley. You have lived in this valley for a number of years, and we've read, discussed all that, and we remain about more or less the same as we are. And you said, how does one explode, break through? Right, sir? How does one transform oneself? Is that right? Could we just stick to that one question, go right to the end of it, and not, could we do that? Do you want to do that? I don't.
Yes.
First of all, is it a matter of time? Is it a matter of time that I will be different given the opportunity, the environment, the right kind of pressures and analysis and so on, eventually breakthrough? Is that it? Therefore, time is not important. Time has no meaning.
This is very clear. Time,
No, sir, it's not clear.
but
If you forgive me for saying so, it's not clear. If you really eliminate time, huh? You follow? Then is there the question of change at all?
well, isn't that
Do look at it, sir. First look at it. If there is no psychological tomorrow, what does change mean? No, you don't, you see.
For one thing, it means living in the present without a psychological activity that I've been using all my life, to which I'm quite addicted.
No, sir, would you please, sir, don't explain it.
No,
Don't just look at the problem first. The problem of change implies time, right?
not in the real sense.
Time, in the actual sense, chronological time. I need time to change. I've lived here for a number of years, and I find I'm exactly as I was at the beginning. And give me some more years, and perhaps I'll change or not change. Right? But if you understand the nature of time, right? What is implied in this question of time, then would you pursue change at all? Would you think in terms of change at all? Or in terms of progression? Progress. There is technological progress, that's obvious. Industrial progress. And is there psychological progress at all? And if there is, that implies time. Listen to that. And will time bring about the required change? And change means, we have to analyze that word too. What does that word change means? Change from what I am to what I should be. Right? I think I am awake, but I may not be awake. I find I am dull, stupid, or whatever it is, and I have an idea that I must be clearer, more bright, see the whole thing entirely, differently. All that implies time, doesn't it? So there are two things involved. Let's go at it. Change implies a formula which I have built and according to which I must act in order to produce a change. right? No? I have a formula that that the world being so violent, I must not be violent. I must live at peace. I have a formula, a principle, an idea. And according to that, I try to live. I am violent, and I will, given time and opportunity and freedom, I will be that. A projection of what is to what should be. Not that simple, isn't it? No? That's what we mean by change. Or a modified continuity of what is into something that will be different. No?
Well then why, Krishnaji, why did you say if we take advantage of the opportunities that are offered now, we can jump 1,000,000 years? Now that certainly implies time. And if we go through that process,
May I request that you forget what the speaker has said previously? Just let's start as though you knew nothing about anything.
But I've done that so many times, and the answers are not answered. The questions are not answered.
We are trying to answer it now. Here I am. I want to change. What does that mean? Before I say I must, I will do, I'll make an effort, I won't make an effort and do all that. What does this word change mean? What does it imply?
It implies we don't like what we are so far.
Dissatisfaction.
To those of us who've been interested for quite some time, it means to see something clearly, which we don't. It's not I mean, at least in the mind.
Which is the same. I don't see clearly now, but I will see clearly tomorrow.
Or why don't I see
Wait. That's what we mean by change, isn't it? Let's stick to that one word first. I don't see psychologically or as a whole entity. I only see fragmentarily, and I would like to see entirely, wholly the thing so that my mind, my heart, everything is very clear. There's no question of doubt, right? That's what we mean by change, sir. Let's be simple. No? What's the difficulty?
I think we do see clearly.
All right then, madam, all right. If you say we do see clearly, then where is the problem?
But I mean, and it's a blindness, but I mean, it is seeing our illusion as such that I think is one of the great problems. We don't really want to change. I mean,
I see. Now, he asked, we want to change, and you say we really don't want to change.
Yeah, that's what
Wait. Then if we really, basically, deeply do not want to change and only pretend verbally to change, then there's quite a different problem.
No, it's the other way. I think basically, deeply, we really do want to change,
Then
but we keep getting caught in these conceits where we think we really are there and
Oh no.
much superior to other people.
Oh no, that's too silly. I mean that's too silly. If I think I'm far superior to everybody else, I'm a little bit odd.
Don't you think we all?
I don't know. I can't say for everybody. I mean, that would be the most absurd conclusion.
So that's what keeps us postponing real change, in other words. I mean, because
Do you really think we are superior?
I think we all think we're simply marvelous. Yeah?
Do you really? Huh? Do you really?
Yes.
God forbid. Huh?
Could change, the desire for change imply that we're discontented with what we are now And therefore, we're using the idea of change to escape from that into something which will be.
So, before we go into this, see what that word means. How we are caught in the trap of words. First, change. You don't seem to see this.
It's a movement from here, from right now.
You see, you say, madam, that we think we are extraordinarily superior, when we are really quite ordinary, bourgeois little people. And we refuse to face that fact. And now, how is a mind that's convinced that it is extraordinarily brilliant and superior, how can such a mind become aware of its own petty little bourgeois life? Which is a change, surely. Right?
Yes.
We are discussing that word, change.
And what can, but my question is too, though, how can a conceited mind drop its conceit? It's the most difficult thing in the world.
That's not the point.
Then it can't change.
No, we are discussing the word change, what it means, not from this to that. The word itself, what does it mean? A movement, surely, from this to that. Whether it's a high movement or low movement, from this to that.
It's just a modified continuity.
Yes, that's what we said. I want to change. I am not superior or inferior. I find myself as I am and I want to change. Now what? Change into what? You follow, sir? Because somebody has told me, some book I have read or heard somebody say, you must keep awake. Huh? You must see, understand everything. Right? And I'm struggling to bring about that change. You're not me. So I'm making an effort. Is change a matter of effort? I'm conceited. I think I'm an extraordinary bird. And how am I to be convinced or shown that I'm rather a stupid chap? I refuse to look or refuse to listen to what you are saying, which is, you're telling me I'm a fool, and I refuse to say, look at it. Now, what is going to make me? That's one issue, right? Second issue is that to change implies time.
From illusion to clarity, from illusion
Yes, from illusion to clarity, from anger to peace, from ugliness to beauty, and so on, so on. All that moving from this to that implies time.
to see the truth of something that you saw as something else, that requires time?
We are not seeing, sir, we are talking of change.
The change that comes naturally when you see something as it actually is.
Yes.
From the state where
Now,
you saw
when
it.
you see something actually as it is, why do you want to change? Wait, sir, why do you want to change? I see I am angry. Let me tell you that. I see I am violent. Now, what makes me want to change?
counts as a part of. I'm not particularly interested in changing anger into something else. But why don't I see the whole thing? What is it? I know the anger is only a part of a whole.
It's only a segment of a, right. Now how do you see the whole? Right. Huh? I don't see the whole, but I want to see the whole. Hmm? That is, I can't see everything, and I want to change from this not being able to see to. So you are really concerned with change in time. Obviously, so. To go from here to the other end of the valley requires time. Hmm? So in the same way, I have realized that I don't see, or that I am conceited, or that think I am terribly superior. And to change that, I need time, psychological time. As I need time to go from here over to there, right? So I have to find out if time does bring about change. Or is it one of those illusions that I cling to? And so what does time mean? Apart from the time by the watch, what does time mean?
Changing this into that.
I was yesterday something, I am today, I will be different, right? That's the whole psychological time, no? You all seem so uncertain about all this. What am I to do?
Does time enter into change? Couldn't you change instantly?
Madam, that's just a theory, isn't it? Couldn't I change instantly? But apparently one doesn't.
It raises the question, what is change? What is change?
I tried to explain it, madam. What is change? One drinks excessively, an alcoholic, and he says, I will become non-alcoholic. That is the same. The question is intrinsically implied in the very word change, means from this to that. I was not well yesterday, I will be well tomorrow. Change. The whole thing is involved in it.
And what I'm going to be tomorrow is a concept, isn't it? I mean, it's still...
It is a projection of what I was today.
It's still a memory. And it can be something that somebody has said, or...
Of course.
It's...
So I must
so
be...
I mean, I don't know the whole. How can I
I'm not
project
talking
the
of the whole, sir. Let's forget the whole and all the rest of it. What we are talking about is what is implied in the word change. Either from superiority to inferiority, or to change from superiority to become normal, and so on, so on.
It implies that there is something to be changed. There is something to be changed.
Wait a minute, that's just it. Something to be changed. What is this something?
Is it?
Stick to that, man. Stick to. No, you're all. What?
We're told we're not individuals.
Wait, forget what's here. Wait, you're going off to so many things. What is to be changed? I find I get angry. And that must be changed.
No.
No?
Understood, seen, not changed.
No.
Don't you want to
Must not
change
be
anger?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Then what do you want to do?
Understand this. What is it? What is the nature of
Therefore, what is it you're trying to change?
Dissatisfaction.
You don't keep at it. First we said change. Now, what is it that is to be changed?
Something about ourselves we don't like.
What is it to be changed? Take something. And I took anger. He said, no, that's not it.
Well, of course one does want to change. I mean, if one gets angry, one does want to change.
So what is the thing you want to change?
The ego, the present state.
Huh? I'm lonely. And I want to, that thing must be changed. I'm unhappy with it. Miserable and bitter, angry, all the rest of it, envious. And that must be changed, no? I might say, well, I'll understand it. I will look at it, I will meditate about it, I will investigate it, I will analyze it, I will, etc., etc. You follow? But the intention is to transform that. Right? No? Then what is the intention? Just you accept it? You accept your misery?
One's never really angry because one's always.
No,
thinking,
forget anger, doesn't matter.
Well, whatever it is.
We say there is that thing which has to be changed, right? You're quite impossible.
It's an instinctive thing. One doesn't think it out, but as one is angry, one hates it. It's all instinctive.
So you say instinctually you want to break,
Being rid of it.
you get rid of it.
Yes.
Right. That's simple. Let's start simply. That's the fact. I'm unhealthy, I want to be healthy. I am rather dull, I want to be more clear. This is a natural, sane response. No? And then from that arises all the struggle, all the conflict, the resistances, and so on. Now, we have tried that for thousands of years, right? Resistances, effort, and I say there may be a different way of doing this, right? Different way of bringing about a change in the thing that is to be changed. Instead of effort, instead of analysis, instead of suppression, resistance, and so on, all that we have tried. There may be a different approach to the thing altogether. But to find a new approach, you must let the others go. Obviously, you can't. Huh? Oh my Lord. No? Not sure. Do you?
Sure.
Huh? Do you let go? Follow what it means. Analysis. The desire to change. The formula which you have that prompts you, that gives you the urge to change. All your instincts, your condition which has said, I must change, this is terrible. You mean to say you've got rid of all that? If you have got rid of all that, there is nothing to change. You see, if you could, please, what is it that is to be changed? Can we look at that for a few minutes? What is it that is to be changed? It's really quite interesting if you go into it, both intellectually and actually. What is it that has got to be changed? Beg pardon?
The understanding of the thing has to be changed.
No, I want to find out before I do anything about it, I want to find out what it is.
About the need to change.
Beg pardon?
The need to change.
No. What is the thing that has got to be changed? Have you looked at the thing first? Huh?
The need to change.
No, I'm not talking of change. I am asking, what is it that has got to be changed? Let's look at that first. I say I'm angry, or I feel terribly conceited. And I want to change that. Before I bring in the word change and the asking I must change, what is conceit that has to be changed? What is conceit?
An evaluation.
Huh?
An evaluation of the self.
No, don't bring in the self. Just look, what is conceit? Before I try to change what conceit is, what is conceit?
It's a lack of understanding.
Now,
of what
madam,
makes
you see,
in society.
why? Conceit, the word conceit.
It's ego inflation.
Would conceit exist if you didn't compare? If you didn't say, well, I'm much better than that chap, comparison, would conceit exist? So, why do you compare?
This is how we try to identify ourselves by comparison.
You see, you don't, please go, you jump to something which is, you will get lost that way. You see, why do you compare?
Because I'm conceited.
Oh, no, sir.
Because of that so-called shape.
Comparison means measurement, right? Yardstick. And we have been conditioned to compare from our childhood. Education is the major part of training the mind to compare. No? You must be better than that boy, you must have more marks, you must pass better, and so on and on and on. Right? We compare. I am dull, and you are very bright. You are violent, and I want to be less violent. So comparison, right? If all comparative evaluation ceases, would you have conceit? So one has to find out why you compare. Why? I was happy. I had that marvelous experience. I saw those beauty of the mountains and heard the morning dove, lovely. And tomorrow I'd like to have it again. Why does the mind compare? Why?
That's how it lives, isn't it? It derives its existence from that. I mean, unfortunately.
Drives sustenance from comparison? Does it? Which means what? Sustenance through words which give you certain stimulus. So we sustain ourselves on words. I am dull, you are bright. I compare myself to you and I'm jealous. And I would like to be like you, envious. Does that sustain me? Or does it bring innumerable conflicts in me? And conflict does sustain. Conflict gives certain kind of energy. So can the mind stop comparing? Have you ever tried to live without comparison? Which means never using the word better, the more, and the feeling of it.
Isn't that it, the feeling of it?
Huh?
Isn't that it, the feeling of it? I mean, I attach a value to something, and so if it's concerned with that, then the comparison matters. But if I don't care, for instance, if somebody's taller or shorter than me and I don't care, I mean, you know, one can't avoid the word necessarily.
No, sir, but the feeling of it.
The feeling of it,
Of course.
Then there's tremendous energy when this stops.
I know, sir. Find out, sir, to do it. The non-comparative outlook on life.
It is a difficulty to separate them. There are two thoughts. The thought which I need in an office and daily living, and the psychological thought. And the one has to go on, I have to use words.
I wonder, sir, in the office, if there is no comparative evaluation in the office, wouldn't you work much better?
Yes.
Huh?
And of
Therefore, don't separate. In the office, one must be comparative. At home, one needn't be.
But they are so interwoven, it is so hard to separate them.
What about quality?
The psychological thought is a feeling which goes always with it. And in the office I have to go on with my subject, and still the psychological feeling comparison goes underneath on.
No, sir. All right. Put it down the other way. Most of us have this comparative evaluation. I compare myself to Einstein, to Mr. Nixon, to, if you are unfortunate enough, to the Buddha, the Christ, the Master, this, that, the other. Now I see in myself why do I do this? I do it because I want to be like them, the hero, the ideal, the example. Now, non-verbally, I see the absurdity of that. I can't be like the Buddha or like somebody else. I see the absurdity. So, but I have the feeling that I'm comparing all the time. Now I pursue that feeling. I want to understand why, though intellectually I see the absurdity of comparison, I have still that feeling of comparing. Why do I have that feeling? Is it because I am dissatisfied with what I am? I'm stupid and I'm dissatisfied with that, and I like to be like somebody who is very brilliant. And I make innumerable efforts, which is insanity. The insanity is something to become somebody who I consider brilliant when I am dull. That is quite insane. No? Because I am dull. Dullness cannot never become brilliant. So I have to pursue something else. I have to understand why am I dull? And do I know I am dull only through comparison? Otherwise, would I call myself dull? No, you're not meeting all this. Would I say I'm inferior or superior if I don't know what the meaning or the feeling of that word compare? Now, how do I change that? I am conditioned, I am steeped, and my whole education, society, the structure of propaganda, everything is based on this comparative evaluation. I am caught in it, in that trap. Now, how do I break through, change it? How do I stop comparing, right, sir? Comes same thing, put in different way. How do we stop it? If I make an effort, I'm comparing. The effort is born out of comparison, surely, because I want to be different. Right? So effort must come to an end. So how do I change without effort, without comparison, the thing as is, which is dull? I am dull. I know I am dull because I have compared myself with you who are clever. Now I don't compare. I refuse to compare. And how do I know I am dull if I don't compare? Right?
You mean you wouldn't realize that there was something amiss if you didn't? I mean, you can't know that you're not happy.
How do I know? Sir, listen, how do I know I am dull if I don't compare? I am hungry. Nobody has to tell me compare. I am hungry, right? Do I know dullness in the same way? Or do I know dullness only because I've compared? Then if I don't compare, then I'm not dull, I'm something else. I won't call it dullness. No?
Don't call it anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I may not give a name to it at all. So why can't the mind start from that? Non-evaluating, non-comparative observation. Which means not to have an opinion about anything. But you are full of opinions, aren't you? I'm right, you're wrong, this is so, it should be so. Huh? Why did this happen? Now, look at it, sir. You've heard this. Now, what are you going to do about it? You've heard it. Somebody says, your whole outlook on life is comparison, right? Comparing. And that makes you make an effort to change what is, right? The thing what is, before you change, you find out what it is, right? And what it is only known through comparison, right? And if you have no comparative measure, is the thing that you want change, does it exist at all? I am lonely, unhappy. I don't know what that word love means. I'm unhappy. I like to be loved. I like to escape from my loneliness. Now, how do I know I'm lonely? Before I escape, before I change, before I do anything, how do I know that I'm lonely? Is it a verbal explanation? You follow, sir? Has the word produced the loneliness? Or apart from the word, does the loneliness exist? I feel lonely. Are you not meeting? Are you meeting, sir? Oh, no.
Then it would seem that the action of comparison establishes a state that may not exist at all.
That's right.
And then there's no need to change, there's no need to make any effort at all.
No, that's a wrong statement. Sorry.
Or perhaps there isn't anything to change, since we don't know what there is to change. We've established.
Don't, if I may suggest, if I may suggest, don't make an assertion. Let's go into it, you see. Has your mind, the mind, has it stopped comparing? And to really stop comparing is quite a...
So any idea at all about anything is a comparison?
Comparing, sir. White shirt and a blue shirt at the ordinary, and choosing this path or that path, choosing, saying, well, he is better than the other. Myself, I am superior, and therefore feeling great delight in being superior. And inferior, because you are superior, you've got a better house, better car, you talk brilliantly, you have got, all the rest of it. So, to find out why this comparative movement goes on in one all the time. Which is called education. Part of education is that. The whole critical world, literary critical world is based on that. Mr. So-and-so is not so good as the other fellow. This painting is not so, etc., etc. And to put an end completely to all comparison. To listen to that bird. When you listen to that morning dove, do you compare? No? Why?
It wouldn't occur to me.
Why doesn't it occur to you?
Because it's a new thing this moment.
No, please do listen. Why doesn't it occur to you? And why does it occur to you to compare? When you see somebody very popular, all the rest of it, why do you compare there and why don't you compare here? Why do you say, I was ill yesterday, God's sake, I must be ill tomorrow? Fear. Of the recurring pain, and here there is no pain. It's something completely outside of you. You have no relationship to that bird. And therefore you can listen to it objectively, non-identifying it, comparatively, just to listen. But compare yourself with somebody. Oh my. You never watched the movement of comparison, have you? Watched it in yourself?
Seems like all I do is try and watch myself.
No, look, you see you are extending something which becomes too complicated. First, I ask you, have you ever watched the movement of comparison in yourself? When you look at a car, and your own car, when you look at somebody who is clever, somebody who is understanding, somebody who has great affection, if compare. Have you ever watched it? Just to watch it, not change it, not to say I must compare, just to watch the movement of comparison. As you listen to that bird, just to watch it. Then would you ever talk of change? So all these things are tied together. Change, time, feeling conceited when one has no reason to be conceited, like pride, or even if you had reason to be conceited, to look into all that. Then only one can ask, what does it mean to change? Right? What does it mean to make a progress, to progress? What does it mean? Technologically, scientifically, there is tremendous progress in technology. Tremendous. And progress. What is it that progresses? There it's very simple. Technologically it's very simple. More knowledge, more know-how, more, and so on, so on. But here, psychologically, inwardly, what does progress mean? What is it that progresses? The soul? Since probably you have read some Indian books, Atman, the higher self. Those are all just ideas, aren't they, really? So if you have no verbal ideal or non-verbal ideal, and the idea of progress, self-improvement, good God, just think of it. Self-improving itself, becoming more selfish, refined, subtle. That's progress. When you look into all that, not just one part of it, then what does change mean? It's only the mind that feels superior and recognizes another entity who is still superior than yourself, then we say, I must change to become that. So, but if one is free, released, liberated from the whole comparative evaluation, Then is love something to be compared? Huh? Is it a product of comparison? Well, that's enough, isn't it?
So it's the wrong question. The question regarding change was weird. Is it the wrong question?
Completely. And that will exist as long as there is comparison taking place. And this comparison prevents you from looking actually what is. I look at my dullness and say, yes, I must be tremendously, I'll watch this dullness. I don't want to change it, I don't want to transform it, I am dull, I'm going to watch it. But before I watch it, I must find out whether that dullness is the result of comparison. Obviously it is, right?
You mean the feeling of heaviness, the lack of comprehension?
No, obviously. The lack of comprehension it comes from listening to some idiot or somebody who says this. And therefore you say, I don't understand. But if you had no comparison, you understand so what it means.
So these are no will, no effort, no projections of any kind. No self.
No comparison. The man who is comparing is always chasing after success. And therefore gets frustrated, therefore fear, therefore bitterness, therefore, etc. You follow? So can you look at what is without comparison, and what you look, is it the result of comparison? And if there is no comparison, what is it you are looking at? If you don't compare at all, haven't you turned your back on society? Because the whole structure of society is based on this.
Including the society of...
Here, me. I am the society. I am the result of society. I have built the society. The world is me, I am the world. Obvious, that's obvious. And if the world is me and me who compares as the world does, and I say no more comparison, I'm just out.
But if everyone did that, wouldn't humanity, society become an homogenized mass?
You don't say if everybody becomes, nobody will become that. Nobody wants that. So all that you can do is, I'll find out what it means to live daily without comparison. I'll find out, like a good scientist. He isn't thinking about society, except when he leaves his laboratory, then he becomes an ugly social entity. But in his laboratory, he is just watching. He's a pure scientist. The same way, there is a tremendous laboratory in me. I am the laboratory, there's watching of it. I watch it with a microscope that's not mine, nor yours, it's a microscope, an instrument of precision. And through that I watch. A microscope doesn't compare, right?
Isn't the comparison, though, itself a fragment of a total? I mean,
So don't, you see, you get caught in that, don't drop it. If you go through comparison, you will see the whole. Don't take the whole.
don't take the whole.
How, do you know what the whole is?
When I think in terms of comparison, I think
Just take.
when there's comparison, there's a feeling of a self. I mean, that's one part. And then without the feeling of self, there's this loneliness that one can't face. That's another part. And,
So one issue properly examined, one issue, one fragment properly examined contains all the other fragments. As we have just, as we just now see.
So there's no end of the string. You can start anywhere.
Yeah. So take one thing and go into it, examine it, explore it, microscopically. Not your microscope.
Not interpret it.
Mm-hmm. Not condemn it, not judge it. Microscope doesn't. It just shows what it is.
Is in comparison connected with a word and an image and
Of course, all the rest of it.
Yeah, and now in the office I have to go on with this thought and image and word. And there
Of course, but you see, in the office, if you have no comparative value, what happens? You're working. You're more efficient. There's no conflict. You're not thinking you're going to step into the shoes of the manager. I better stop because we thought I would come here every Thursday to discuss. Is that all right? No, please, don't clap on it. It's all right. If you like it, I'll come. And those who come here can't go to the discussions that are held at Malibu, at Mrs. Zimbali's house, because there are already enough. You follow? There are already enough people crowded here too. So those who come here won't go there. Is that all right? And every Thursday at 3 o'clock, if you will allow it, we'll meet.